sharing history that you know would otherwise be lost. What you mean you haven't read the whole book yet? I need this book. Okay. Hey there, it's me, Lottie, with another episode of Shelf Life. Today we're going to be appreciating and looking at this book right here, which is called Home Sweet Sanctuary. Idlewild Families Celebrate a Century by Dr. Gloria House. Dr. Gloria House is a professor of humanities and African American studies at the University of Michigan, Dearborn. She's a poet and cultural activist who has been engaged in U.S. and international human rights issues since her work in the Southern Civil Rights Movement as a student in the 1960s. This book was written in 2011. It was based on interviews that were compiled in 2008 from year-round and seasonal residents of Idlewild, Michigan. This is such an important contribution to the history of African Americans across the nation and the world, to African Americans in Michigan, and just Michigan history also. Let me give a little brief backdrop. So, Idlewild is an African American resort community encircling Lake Idlewild and Paradise Lake in Yates Township, Lake County, northern Michigan. It was founded in 1912. The site of a century-old legacy of racial solidarity and pride. So, Idlewild, Michigan is a place that I am just starting to develop a relationship with. A few years ago, a friend and fellow activist and colleague, Tawana Petty, started the Pettypropolis poetry event in Idlewild, Michigan, and I was invited to be a part of that. And Dr. Gloria House was there for that event, and everyone who attended got a copy of this book. All the poets and artists and activists that were a part of the event got a copy of this book. So I have had this book for a while, and there's a particular page that really resonated with me and helped me understand why I am to develop this deep relationship with Idlewild, which I'll share with you in a minute. But just recently, a dear friend caught me saying that I had not read the whole book yet because I kept getting caught on what I feel is my page. And he said, "What you mean you haven't read the whole book yet?" So I sat myself down shortly after that, and I read it cover to cover. So Idlewild is typically brought up as it relates to its entertainment history. It was a place where there were lots of musical and dance performances by all the famous people of the 50s and 60s and maybe the 40s. I don't know, I'm getting my timeline mixed up. I should verify that. But this book was dedicated to the stories of the residents that give a more broad view of what Idlewild meant to everyone. One quote here in the introduction sort of sums it up. Much has been written about this tenacious resort settlement, but little emphasis has been placed on the effort required to establish a viable community and the powerful bond that 5 generations of self-determining African Americans have forged with the land and the lakes, a bond that ensured peace and a sense of security in a society where racial discrimination, prejudice, and violence were daily threats. This book seeks to highlight the historic achievement of building a community in the wilderness, organizing and cementing a highly valued national and international social network, preserving the lakes and wildlife, designing a village infrastructure, constructing substantial houses that could withstand fierce northern Michigan winters, and in short, carrying out all the committed activities that have secured this independent community for 100 years. So, like I said, most of the attention given to Idlewild talks about its heyday as an entertainment center in the 1950s, but this glorious book really taps into the families and the history that goes beyond just being a destination for a hangout or a good time. I mean, it was still a good time, but like deep family commitment to place. I love the photographs that are in this book. So many historic photographs of families having fun at the beach and documents of land ownership and the pride. You can tell the close-knit community and sense of pride that people that were in Idlewild had. And I am so pleased to be a part of this legacy building that's continuing today. Idlewild is a beautiful, beautiful place, and it is subject to the currents of land ownership that are sweeping the nation and the globe. Gentrification and a lack of infrastructure and displacement of its residents. So there is a movement toward coming back home to Idlewild, and a lot of people are considering buying property there for the summer. Some people are living there year round. So one thing I did when I started reading this book, I was in Idlewild for a while this past summer, and I decided to drive around and just take in the sights while I was reading the book, which was really powerful. And you could see some of the landmarks that were there at the time the book was written. Other things, of course, have fallen into disrepair or are no longer there. But just admiring the beauty, you can see the intent behind the creation of such a place when you have streets that are named things like generosity and sincerity. You can just see. And it's such a beautiful place. Here's a picture of the historic Morton's Motel from the 1950s, and we can see the beautiful restoration that has taken place, and this is still a vibrant and viable business today. So let me tell you about page 26. I knew that I was supposed to have a relationship with this place. I visited Idlewild, and I felt this sense of place that I had not felt before. I really understand what people mean when they say a sense of place. It felt very old to me and new at the same time. And then when it was pointed out to me that page 26 is my page, and so I looked at it, and it talks about 2 other important sectors of the community that were there during the 1940s, the Native Americans and the healers. The Native Americans were there from the beginning, and the healing practitioners were following the path created for them by Dr. Daniel Hale Williams. The plant life, its profusion, and the presence of rare species is recognized as one of Idlewild's greatest treasures. Because of the heightened national consciousness concerning the importance of preserving wildlife, and also because of the promise that ecotourism holds for the community. Idlewild attracts a subculture of healers with its abundance of plants, flowers, and herbs, as well as the curative power of its fresh air, infused with the aroma of pines. That would be me. That would be me. That's what I'm trying to do now, is establish my relationship with this historic land. It feels like you are sitting down at a family reunion or visiting an elder that you've just heard a whole lot about, and they are generously breaking out the photo albums and sharing history that you know would otherwise be lost if this person, this griot, this keeper of oral history, didn't share that story. So that is another reason this is such an important contribution to our history, because these oral histories would have been lost with the individuals who experienced them, whose stories they were. So I can't appreciate enough the gentle urge for me to go on and read the whole book, which I had intentions of doing anyway, but you know how it is. Okay. So this is a remarkable cultural study, an everyday look at life. Have you been to Idlewild, Michigan? You should include this in your bucket list or places to visit, or develop a relationship with this historic African American town, area, community. I have to say how thankful and excited I am to be a part of preserving and ensuring the survival of this community and culture and history that is Idlewild, Michigan. I can't wait until the day that my children and my grandchildren are standing in the waters of Lake Idlewild or Paradise Lake. It means a lot to me. It really means a lot. So this is one of those books, like I said, my shelf life episodes are dedicated not to just, the newest release or the top books that came out this year. They're the things that made a difference in my life. And they're books that I think might be meaningful to others as well that are interested in the same thing. So I hope that you will think about checking this book out and learn about the deep, beautiful history that is Idlewild, Michigan.